Folks, May has been the deadliest month on record for the city of Baltimore. The murder rate skyrocketed with a record high of 43 murders. Of course, city is still dealing with the fallout of protests and after the death of Freddie Gray, 25-year-old African-American man who died while in police custody back in April. I want to come back to our panel on this because what we are seeing here, I don't care what anybody says, there's no coincidence between this high murder rate and these cops pulling back from doing their jobs. And I believe what these cops are saying is, we're going to show y'all what happens when we decide that we're going to stop policing, we're going to stop talking to people, we're going to stop investigating. And then I think what they're saying is people are going to say, oh my God, all these murders, y'all need to go back and do what you were doing before.
Yeah. That's exactly
was a complacency factor, but the citizens, the people in this community and around the country need to put the pressure on the police department, not only this one, but any other police department that's derelict in their duty. And that's what's happening here. We're not having an outcry for that.
And what should be happening, and let me be perfectly clear to folks with Black Lives Matter movement and others as well, there should be just as vigorous protests right now in Baltimore over these 43 murders and demanding that the police do their job fairly, because again, they are there to protect and serve.
Absolutely.
Not themselves, but the people as well. And so now the critics though are saying, see, oh, y'all don't want to talk about the 43 people who have been killed, you only want to talk about Freddie Gray.
Well, the downturn in arrests doesn't necessarily mean that criminals are running amok. It could very well mean that a lot of otherwise innocent people who were being improperly arrested aren't getting arrested. There's also no data to really show that there's a direct correlation between police and the type of policing that they're engaged in and murder rate. Murder rate is attributable to so many other factors, such as poverty, that the fact that the police are now standing down, that there's no direct correlation between the stand down in the police and the murder rate.
Well, but here's the issue. When all of a sudden it skyrockets.
Right.
See, that's the deal. It's not like,
of course,
all of a sudden things just go haywire all of a sudden.
Right. And,
but
of course, as you know, the goal of that, as we already said, is to make it look like Mosby is problematic, and she's in the way of progress, and it's because of her and her taking a look at this whole thing the way she has, that this is going. It's a blame thing. It's a conspiracy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. And here we are. You're right. It's a 40-year high that we've seen in the murder rate just in the past month in Baltimore.
Supposedly.
And there are no arrests around these murders. Now, you know, call me a conspiracy theorist, but who is doing the murdering? Really? I mean, I wouldn't put anything past them. It is in their interest to have a spike in murders right now to be able to justify their heavy-handed policing over the years, in which they've paid millions and millions of dollars to be able to cover it up. But now that they can't cover it up, all of a sudden they decided they didn't want to police it.
So let me throw this out. So it's interesting. So, so the governor basically says to the mayor, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, you know, it's about time you called me for the National Guard. So just here's something interesting. So we are quick to call the National Guard to protect property.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm just putting it out there. So if they're quick to call the National Guard to protect property, where's the governor? I want to know, where's the governor on television demanding answers from this police department to 43 murders in May?
Haven't seen him yet.
Well, who's being murdered?
And where?
I think that's significant. I mean, it's likely the majority of people who live in Baltimore who are black who are being murdered.
Who didn't vote for him.
Just like Freddie Gray, these people are being seen as irrelevant. And how dare Mosby, she's going to arrest these people who are protectors and servers of who is relevant.
And here's what I think the audience cannot lose track of, which is not getting articulated on Fox News. Freddie Gray's neck was broken and his voice box was crushed while in police custody. Eric Garner was choked out by police while in police custody. Victor White III, handcuffed with his hands behind his back in the backseat of a shot, and they say he shot himself. What we are responding to is improper police action, not proper policing.
Hold tight one second. I want to go to this next story. I want to get this in. That is billionaire Charles Koch is calling on President Obama to release more nonviolent offenders from prison who qualify for the new clemency rules under the Department of Justice. President Obama announced this initiative in 2014. There are thousands of people who are still waiting. He's only community or partnered about 20 different people. Now, Koch has been one of the folks who has partnered with many people who are liberal and progressive, saying we have a pathetic system where we have nonviolent offenders who are thrown in jail. I don't want to hear people, I don't want to hear this crap from people saying, oh, this is him just trying to, no. They've been there for quite some time. This is one of those issues where you can disagree with somebody on 9 issues and then you can agree with them on 1 issue. Yeah. But the reality is the president has been slow. The president has, when it comes to his partners and commutations, he has been way too conservative in doing so. And he talks one thing, he talks a good game about second chances, but he has the power in his hand to pardon and to issue these clemency rules. And one of the problems with these rules, they essentially say you have to be a perfect inmate. So let's say you came in the first couple of years and you were a little rowdy, but for 10, 12, 15 years you've been a model person, well, that's going to disqualify you. The president needs to get far more aggressive. I think Charles Koch and others are right. He needs to step up when it comes to clemency, when it comes to nonviolent offenders in our prisons.
But you're also saying that people who are critical of the Koch brothers need to get over it because this is an important issue for everybody.
Well, no, what I'm saying is criticize them on voter suppression, criticize them on every other issue, but when somebody is right on the same issue you on, have the guts to say they're right too.
So you don't believe that the conservative Koch brother is trying to do things that the black community might be appeased by?
No.
You don't think that's what's going on?
No, because if your record shows that as a libertarian, this is where you stand. It's just like, again, I might disagree with Senator Rand Paul on 20 issues, but if he's right on this issue, I got to have the guts to say he's right on this one, and not go, well, you know, I don't want to, you know, no.
But the bottom line is that there are many lives that are negatively impacted because of stupid arrests, misdemeanor arrests that should not have occurred. For example, civil citations should be something that's addressed on a table at the national level so that you don't incarcerate someone and get a record. So you can't get scholarships to go to college, you can't get into the military, you can't open a business, you can't buy a home, you can't get loans, etc. So the bottom line is this is the right thing to do because our penal system is not doing any sort of rehabilitation. It's just making more hardened criminals. So what would be better for these individuals to do? Come out, get a job, work with corporate America so they can be employed and take care of their family to be a productive citizen.
This is a perfect example of the president talking about a very good policy, but then putting things in place so that really the policy becomes almost impossible to implement by his own standard. And he didn't even really get enough money in the budget to have enough attorneys in the Justice Department to process the applications. This is mismanaged the same way the Affordable Care Act was mismanaged when they tried to implement that.
But he said he has a pen and a paper, and if he wanted to get it done, he can get it done.
I realize that. I realize that.
The sad reality is he has the lowest clemency rate of any modern president. This is not an aberration. This president has not utilized his pen at the level that his predecessors have. And the fact that he's gone on record with this new policy and also has underfunded it, hasn't put the right people behind it, constructed it in such a way so that it's almost impossible for it to actually bear out in real life is extremely difficult.
Which makes it difficult not to consider a conspiracy. You have the black president not moving on this, and you have the Koch brothers telling him to move on this.
No, I mean, I don't see the conspiracy. The bottom line is I think what you have is you have a Democratic president, President Obama, who is still falling into this old trap of, well, I don't want to necessarily be soft on the crime. They're all scared about what if one of these folks gets released and they do something. Look, there's always a possibility, but the bottom line is here. There are thousands of people who have applied and who qualify for this new clemency procedure, and he should use the pen. Look, you got 2 years, and here's the other piece. We're in the hell of civil rights groups. We're in the hell of civil rights leaders. Okay, don't run around holding news conferences and having seminars and symposiums talking about nonviolent offenders, talking about felons' rights, and then when it comes to this issue, you're frankly being silent. This president needs to be pushed on this issue, and there needs to be public pressure on him, and it has nothing to do with him being black, has nothing to do with protecting him. It's about doing what's right, because here's the piece. When he leaves office, he will not have the power to grant clemency. He will not have the right to, the power to grant pardons. So use it while you got it.
You're
civil rights groups-
you're asking the leadership of those organizations to have some guts and challenge an African American president. They haven't done it up to this point. They're not, damn sure not going to do it
Exactly.
now.
Guess what? And that's why we have the right to sit here and call them out for
you
not doing what they're supposed to do, because don't say one thing and then you don't do another.
But keep in mind, we don't only have African Americans in prison. We have a whole
Oh,
bunch
I
of other
agree.
people incarcerated. So this is not a black
Right,
issue.
but the civil
This
rights
is
groups,
a
the
human
black civil
issue.
rights
Got to
groups,
say something.
do not want to say
Absolutely.
nothing bad about Barack Obama.
Well-
they have paralysis. They won't move because the president is black, and we can't say nothing bad about the president.
Well, I'm sorry.
The clock's running out.
The clock is running out. For every day
I
it
agree.
passes and he doesn't move, that's another day when his presidency may be over. It's time for him to act. Cleo, Wilmer, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.